This is Part 3, Episode 168. The spiritual energy and realm were constantly increasing, while the light god domain was merging with the power of the eternal realm. The divine throne of eternity and creation was fully embodying the power of its role as a supra-divine equipment, and its imposing aura was not the aura that other divine thrones could compared with. A melodious sound resounded, spreading over 1,000 miles, and the divine throne of eternity and creation suddenly split apart. The 13 lumps of pure white light rose into the air. At the moment they ascended into the air, the sunlight in the sky dimmed due to the suppression. It was as if it no longer existed, and 13 new suns had replaced it. Long Houchen raised his head to the sky, his eyes showing a fanatical look. At the same time, he raised both his hands. Fall down, my eternal star. Those 13 balls of eternal star shone, with an incandescent luster, as they descended from the sky, rapidly fusing into Long Houchen's body one after another, and his 500 meters tall body rapidly shrank after each of them merged. When the 13th eternal star merged with his body, he had already returned to the size of an ordinary person and no longer felt illusionary. Everything returned to normal. Long Houchen was still clad in his divine unicorn armor, but the divine throne of eternity and creation disappeared completely. Hitting his right fist against his chest, Long Houchen performed a knight salute to all the knights in the dragon-resisting mountain pass. Clang! 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 The sound resounded at the dragon-resisting mountain pass. This was the Knight Temple's response to him from all the knights at the fortress. Not only these knights, but also the 3 divine knights in the air. From this moment onwards, Long Houchen wasn't only the president of the new federation, but also the unprecedented divine knight of excellence and leader of the Knight Temple, the leader of the 6 divine knights. Dad, I've succeeded. Long Houchen looked at Long Xingyu, who looked at him with a dull look. His eyes were filled with complicated emotions, such as gratification, excitement, and confusion. Han Yu and Zhong Fangfang had a completely different reaction. The two of them rushed to Long Houchen's side, grabbing him and tossing him in the air, before retrieving their divine thrones. However, Long Houchen didn't join his 2 brothers in celebrating. With a flash, he returned to their side, and after saying something in a low voice, Han Yu and Zhong Fangfang's expressions changed at the same time. The 3 of them greeted Long Xingyu, then rapidly flew back to the dragon-resisting mountain pass. Long Xingyu didn't understand what was going on either. He quickly followed them back. Although the 4 divine knights didn't display their might for a long time, the shock they brought to the dragon-resisting mountain pass caused the morale of the powerhouses from the Knight Temple to rise by an unprecedented amount. Caia. When Long Houchen returned to his comrades, he impatiently called out. Caia was just like a swarming swallow, fiercely rushing into his embrace, tightly hugging him. He couldn't say a word. The 2 of them had just had the most intimate relationship, and then Long Houchen was disappearing for over a month. What a torment it was as to Caia. She kept herself strong, not wanting her companions to panic. After all, Long Houchen wasn't here, she was the vice-captain. But when her lover finally succeeded and returned, she could no longer suppress her emotions. Long Houchen held Caia tightly, gently caressing her long hair. The others pretended not to see and turned their heads away. Clapping Caia's back, Long Houchen declared in a deep voice, "My apologies, everyone. I have been taking part in the examination for too long, making everyone worried. But we are afraid to act immediately." Hao Yue was already unable to suppress his own breakthrough. "We've already started to break through the bottleneck. We have to get there immediately, or we won't make it in time." Originally, everyone was immersed in Long Houchen's excitement and joy at his return. Hearing him say that, their expressions immediately became serious. They had followed Long Houchen before, and faced the undead creatures of Hao Yue's world several times. They were very clear on just how terrifying these undead creatures were. In particular, every time Hao Yue evolved, the enemy's strength would get stronger. There was even a time when Hao Yue's power had completely evolved, almost injuring his vitality, after being interrupted. Hao Yue's strength could destroy demon god pillars, and his evolution was of utmost importance to the entire light demon hunt squad. "Boss, we are ready." Lin Xin had a complacent look on his face. Judging from his appearance, it was obvious that his cultivation had improved. Everyone had serious expressions, but after hearing Long Haochen's words, their eyes were filled with excitement. Even Han Yu and Zhong Fangfang were no exception. The undead army was indeed powerful, but their demon hunt squad of light was incomparable to the past. In particular, everyone had just changed their equipment. Which one of them wasn't ready to make a big move? He would also be able to feel the might of his new equipment. Caia also stood up from Long Haochen's embrace. Her pretty face reddened, and she didn't say anything. Long Haochen turned to Long Xingyu and said, "Father, my mount is a creature from another plane. It is about to complete its evolution, and is very possibly the last time. I will take my companions to guard it. Protect it." Long Xingyu didn't expect that his son would immediately leave after completing the test of the divine throne of eternity and creation, and couldn't help but ask with some concern, "Can your body bear it?" Long Haochen replied, "Don't worry, I am currently at my peak condition, there won't be any problems. We'll be back in a minute. It shouldn't take long." Long Xingyu nodded and said in a deep voice, "Pay attention to your safety." Long Haochen revealed a smile, full of confidence. It wasn't only his comrades who were full of confidence in the upcoming battle, but he was as well. He possessed the divine snail shield of sun and moon and the divine throne of eternity and creation. Even if he faced the demon god emperor, he had the confidence to challenge him. Furthermore, right now, he was still in the process of fusing with the divine throne of eternity and creation, and his cultivation kept increasing. At his current rate of fusion, when he successfully fused with it, he would probably break through the 4th rank of the 9th stage. A purplish-golden glow shone on Long Haochen's forehead, 9 purplish-golden patterns shining with a mysterious luster. Long Haochen's chest flashed continuously, and 9 rings of light fell on his comrades. This was the ability of the Epic Tier team they bought in the Demon Hunt Transaction Center, the Flash Domain. Under the effects of the Flash Domain, each of the members of the Light Dawn Demon Hunt squad gained a silver-white halo around their feet. Immediately, the purple-gold pattern on Long Haochen's forehead shone brilliantly, instantly fusing into the silvery white of the Flash Domain. In the next instant, the Flash Domain turned completely purplish-gold. With Long Haochen as the center, the radiance flashed once again, and the halos under everyone's feet lit up. The space split open, and everyone disappeared without a trace. Long Xingyu was also a divine knight, so he naturally knew how difficult everything Long Haochen had just done was. The domain of instant flash could only strengthen the connection between him and his comrades. The collective teleportation, on the other hand, depended entirely on his own strength. With 9 people, they broke through space and began to traverse planes. Even if he had the coordinates, this was too risky. Even Starry Sky Holy Knight Long Haoyu didn't dare to do such a thing. Long Haochen naturally wasn't afraid. The divine throne of eternity and creation had the wonders of shuttling through space, not to mention that his current cultivation and control over his domain had reached a whole new level. After everyone entered the spatial turbulence, Long Haochen's body immediately let out a luster as white as jade, enveloping everyone inside, forming a white barrier of light. They didn't suffer any impact. In the time it took to take a few breaths, they had already broken through the space once again, arriving in the space Haoyue was in. With a flash of white light, Long Haochen and his comrades separated from the spatial shuttle. Even though they were mentally prepared, when they saw the situation in front of them, they couldn't help but be shocked. From afar, the mountains were filled with undead creatures, and not only on the ground, but in the air as well. It was as if the entire space had been filled with undead creatures. This time, Haoyue didn't evolve in the cave, but just calmly crawled on top of a small hill, letting out a dense violet golden radiance that faintly sparkled on his body. All the undead creatures, within 100 meters of it, immediately transformed into a violet gold-colored flame. There was not even a speck left. The sudden appearance of Long Haochen's group of 10 naturally attracted the attention of the undead creatures. Immediately, undead creatures attacked them. Flapping their wings, at least 1,000 flying devil puppets soared in the sky, spitting out crescent-shaped dark green radiance at them. Although the undead creatures attacking Hao Yue didn't have any powerhouses of king level present, they were at least at the 4th or 5th step of cultivation. And they had only just arrived. The attack on Hao Yue had yet to be fully launched. Long Haochen raised his left hand, and a layer of multicolored light turned into a huge barrier of light, enveloping everyone, including Hao Yue. The green light from the crescent moon bombarded the colorful light barrier, but not even a ripple was formed. Hao Yue's body glinted with a violet golden luster, making Long Haochen feel some fluctuations in his emotions. Because of their arrival, he had to wholeheartedly break through the bottleneck. Originally, Hao Yue was still able to suppress his own breakthroughs, so there was no need for him to be in such a hurry. However, after devouring the sapling of the Tree of Destruction, its strength instantly reached a critical point. Even with its strength, it could no longer hold back this breakthrough. The message Hao Yue gave Long Haochen was very simple: this time's breakthrough would take a very long time. Hao Yue didn't say anything else, because it trusted Long Haochen completely. Even though the flying devil puppets' attacks were numerous. But for the divine snail shield of sun and moon to transform into a barrier of light, it was undoubtedly like a dragonfly shaking a stone pillar. After passing the test of the divine throne of eternity and creation, Long Haochen was still in the process of fusing with the throne, and immediately arrived at this place. As a result, his right hand was still holding that golden sword glinting with an 8-colored halo. At this moment, he smiled at his companions and said, "Let me introduce you to a friend." As he spoke, he tossed up the king's sword in the air. With a flash of golden light, 12 wings spread out. Yating appeared in front of everyone. All of them were stunned when they saw this peerless woman that they had never seen before. Yating inherited the body of the Queen of the Moon. In addition, she had her own special qualities, whether it was her appearance or her temperament. It was completely not inferior to Caia. Seeing her, Caia was startled, giving a puzzled look to Long Haochen, but didn't doubt him. In terms of feelings, she had absolute trust in Long Haochen. It was no longer possible for them to hold each other in their hearts. Long Haochen pulled Kia's hand, telling Yating, "Pay respects to your sister-in-law." Yating smiled sweetly, bowing to Kia, "Hello, sister-in-law. I am Long Yating." The other's expressions became strange, and Lin Xin couldn't help but whisper in Sima Xian's ear, "Boss is indeed domineering, bringing this lady back for vice-captain to see directly." Sima Xian nodded in deep agreement, "We can't match him in this aspect." Chen Yinga let out a laugh, "The two of you are talking nonsense, be careful that Caia would cope with you. Was boss that kind of person?" But Long Yating, why does that sound a little familiar? At this time, Caia was also looking at this beautiful girl in front of her with a surprised face. "You are." Outside, the undead army was pressing down, so Long Haochen naturally wouldn't let her guess. With a smile, he said, "It's Yating. Back then, when I was killed by the demon god emperor, her elemental body was destroyed, and only a trace of her soul was attached to the sword of life and creation. At the time I accepted the test of the divine throne of eternity and creation, the sword of life and creation was broken, and I drew out Yating's soul, using the power of her domain to help her rebirth. Her current body came from the eternal realms, the Queen of the Moon. Yating's body was originally of the darkness attribute, so I used my own blood to change it. My blood was flowing in her body, so I let her use my surname. I therefore had her as my sister. Only then did everyone realize that Long Yating was the light elemental fairy from back then." Yating. Chen Yinga said with a face full of envy, "Yating, your wings are really pretty." Long Haochen replied, "Yating, Lin Xin. Let's do it." More and more undead creatures appeared, their ranged attacks focused on the divine snail shield of sun and moon, unceasingly releasing dazzling light. Long Haochen's consumption of spiritual energy increased accordingly. Lin Xin and Yating nodded at the same time. Lin Xin lifted his right hand, and a ball of orange light appeared in his palm. Immediately, an orange glint appeared in his eyes, forming a 2-meter-long huge staff. The fiery red core on the tip of the staff was at least the size of a human head. It didn't look like a staff, but more like a scepter. This staff had a domineering name. It was called Eternal Dragon's Fire. This video will end here.